All going well. Hey, Facebook, how's it going? It's Maureen Allher here. I hope you're all doing well on this Thursday. It's nearly the weekend. So, as you know, I've been bringing you experts and entrepreneurs from all over the world for the last, oh my gosh, it must be like 6 or 8 weeks now. And today I have one of our own, Shane Breslin from Navan in Ireland, in case you don't know that, if you're watching from overseas. And Shane is a writer, an entrepreneur, and a coach. And we are going to be talking today about what makes you tick and why that's so important, what's such an important part of being an entrepreneur. So, Shane, why don't you say hello to Facebook?
Hello, Facebook. My first live video in I don't know how long. I think it must be at least 2 years.
Oh my gosh! 2 years?
Yes, that's the truth.
Well, I'm glad to invite you back into the world of Facebook Live. It's all about Facebook Live these days.
It seems to be. It seems to be. I tried to go live about a month ago, and I got outfoxed by the interface in Facebook, and I gave up.
Yeah, so I can see why an entrepreneur or anybody would be turned off, because I went in there the other day and I was just like, what the hell? It was like the Matrix. And yeah. I'm okay at Facebook ads and all of that. I get all of that stuff. I dabble in that a little bit, but that interface was just something else. So that doesn't have anything to do with what makes you tick as an entrepreneur. That's exactly what drives you into a rabbit hole, makes you want to throw in the towel and forget the whole damn thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. It's like I think there are obstacles everywhere, especially when it comes to Facebook.
Totally. So we're going to talk today about what makes you tick as an entrepreneur and why that's so important. And I think the current climate is giving everybody a chance to take a step back and kind of see what they love doing. I know that's certainly been the case for me. I actually found myself, you'll love this, Shane, the other day, going around the house, because obviously I work from home. Well, the whole world works from home right now. And I'm going around the house and I'm like, I feel great. And then I was just like, oh my God, I'm in my flow. This is what it is. It was like probably for the first time in quite a long time that I acknowledged that, because I've only been doing the things that I really enjoy doing. And I think that you'll agree that that's super important as an entrepreneur, right?
Totally. And I'm with you there. Because over the last 2 months, it's probably we're 14th of May right now, so it's 2 months really since things got real in Ireland and around the world. I think it was exactly 2 months ago the pubs closed. I think when the pubs closed, that was the announcement that everybody took seriously. So yeah, the last 2 months it's been. I'm lucky as well. I work with a small number of kind of really good clients, but they sort of paused everything, apart from one client who's taken an opportunity to do a number of things that she had been putting on the long finger for ages. A lot of the clients I've been working with have kind of paused for a few weeks, so it allowed me to really figure out or take a step back about what is it that I really love to do. So I found myself in flow a lot over the last 6 weeks or so, and I know that things are like it's a cliche at this stage, but how uncertain the world is, and how many people are struggling. People are going through things that 3 months ago would have seemed crazy, for this to happen. But yeah, there are. Even though there are a lot of people going through a lot of things, I think once we keep our physical health and mental health in a good place, and once we're fortunate enough to be able to do that, I think there are upsides for us in the present situation, once we can get through it with our physical and mental health intact.
Yeah, I just pray that we'll all come out of this stronger and better, and please God, the world will be better off for it too, somehow. But we'll leave that to the end, because I want to ask you a specific question on that. So I see lots of people are joining us. Let us know in the comments that you're here. Say hi to Shane, say hi to me. Don't be shy. Let us know what makes you tick. That would be a really cool thing for you guys to do right now. And because that's what we're talking about today in terms of being an entrepreneur, and how that is why that's so important to help you be more successful, to get more results. Thanks for showing us love as well, because when you show us love, Facebook shows more of us to the world. So it works for everybody. Thank you so much for that. So tell me, Shane, what makes you tick as an entrepreneur?
Well, one of the things that I've discovered, I haven't discovered. I've always known this. I've always known that I need to write. Writing is my thing. It is how I process things. It's it's my preference for communicating. So I'm the person who, when I'm sending an email, sends 300 words with 6 bullet points. That's my style. I know other people have completely different styles. So, but that is one of the things that makes me tick, and it is, for the longest time I've known that, and I won't say I've resisted it, but I've kept it at arm's length a little bit. So I would often do writing. I would often do my writing, whether it's for business or pleasure or whatever it might be. I would often do it at the end of everything, while I had all what I thought were the most important things done. But that's kind of flipped on its head over the last while, that writing is the most important thing for me. It is how I communicate best. And I'm doing a lot more of that. So I've been working on a lot of things that are writing related, reading related. This sort of kind of became really clear to me when I did one of several kind of personal development psychographic tools, the likes of Enneagram and DISC, and I did one was VARC over the last year or so, which is the learning and communication styles. And I realized, like, the reason that I can't picture anything, I have no vision. I can't visualize. People say, oh, you can visualize. I couldn't visualize anything. I can't visualize anything. Like, I can see where I want to go, but I can't visualize anything around the path to get there. So yeah, my learning and communication style is hugely weighted towards read-write. So I've been doing a lot more reading, a lot more writing, and a lot more work around how I introduce reading and writing into my businesses and the business interest that I want to build. So all that's exciting to know what makes us tick.
Yes. And what difference has that made to your bit? I think what difference has it made to how you feel about what you're doing, right? Because it's so important to feel really good about what we're doing as entrepreneurs. And I think one of the things that drives entrepreneurs into the ground and out of business is doing things that they don't enjoy, right?
Yes.
So what have you been able to, what would you say to that?
So I think for my, like, you're absolutely right. I think it has to be what makes us energized, what gives us energy, and what takes our energy away. And for me, the difference it has made has been huge. It's one of a lot of things, but it's been a big difference, a big positive difference for me to know what gives me energy, what my preferences are. And so when it comes to actually me creating my business or creating my life or doing the things that I want to do, it's just everything. Because if I try to think with my head, this time, just let me go with this for a second. If I try to think rationally about stuff and think with my head, I will come up with things that will probably work, or things that there might be a requirement for. But if my heart isn't in that, well, then it's never going to work. So what I need to do is to try to think with my heart first, and then use my head to put the detail on that, and keep referencing it back to my heart, if you know what I mean. Because it is something that has been a real. It's taken me a good while to get there, really. And like, am I there now fully? No, it's a journey. It's a work in progress. But I know when I am not on the right path, and then I need to stop or pause. And the right path, there could be 5 right paths, and all of us have multiple true selves. But we will know when we're on a path that isn't in alignment with one of those true selves, and then we need to do something to address it.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you 2 questions on that. I'm taking notes. When you see me looking this way, it's because I have a pen and paper here, so I remember what you're saying. Yeah. David Brown, your friend from Navan, he's here. He's saying hi. You should say hi to him.
Hey, David, how are you?
I asked you there what makes you tick, David. So there's a few other people joining. And thanks for joining us. Let us know what makes you tick in the comments, and let's have a conversation together. And if you like the conversation, show us some love as well. And then we'll, then we'll keep talking. So just going back to what you're saying there a second ago, this whole like head heart battle, like obviously every entrepreneur battles with it at some point, because obviously your head rules, like it's all like the ego self and all of that. So was there a moment for you where, you changed from being able to do that? Or has it been like, trying over a period of time? Was there a technique that you used or?
Yes. So there wasn't one moment, there wasn't one moment. If there were moments, it was a series of moments, or it's a gradual process. And in terms of techniques, there is one that I use, and I've used it quite a bit, both in my personal journey to happiness and in my business, or what my business can amount to. And it's a kind of a 2x2, these, the matrix, the top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. And it's two simple questions that I ask. And the questions are, what do I love to do? Number one. And what brings value to the world? What creates value in the world? Number two. And if I can find a list of things that I love to do, and that people want, people value, it creates value in the world, well, then that's what I need to go after. That's the direction I need to go in. And I know for ages, I was doing things that created value, things that I had a skill, people wanted to hire me for that skill, and that I hated spending the time doing it. And it took me a long time to realize that there were things that I could be passionate about, could love to do, that would also create value in the world. And it's not an overnight journey to come up with that list of things and create the skills and the products and the services and the business around that. But the journey to there is a really good journey to try to be on.
And it is a journey, and it's something we have to remind ourselves as entrepreneurs, that it's not just one thing that's going to make you successful, or it's not like, I think that a lot of entrepreneurs have this idea that one thing is going to happen and everything is going to snowball off that one thing, and then they're going to be successful and that'll be it. Like that would be the most boring end, or even the most boring journey you ever had, because it's the trials and it's the struggle that really helps you. And I'm sure it's been a lot to do, and I can totally relate to that as well. A lot of the best shifts that I've had have been from hardship, or struggling with something or battling with something. And I've certainly had my own battles with being too much in my head. And I'm a very fast mover in business. I'm a very strategic thinker. So dropping into my heart and like really thinking, what does my heart really want? That's just like, what? I don't have time for this. I've got to get this shit done, So it's been a real learning curve for me as well. But yeah, I totally agree. It's all in the journey. And what would you say to any entrepreneurs that are watching now, that they're like thinking, oh yeah, it's easy for you to say, like maybe they're not enjoying what they're doing, and maybe they are like all in their heads about it. And, the idea of getting into their heart is possibly a little bit cryptic to people, because I think when I heard it first, I was a bit like, what do you mean by that?
Well, I think it's like, I'll be the first to say that it feels cryptic. I know that it is difficult to get to listen to the heart. It doesn't make sense in a lot. But in terms of me, I think it's a physiological thing. When we actually think about something and when we feel it in our bodies, we feel. One thing that I keep coming back to is that I think we have, as humans, everybody, you, me, everybody who's watching, everybody out there, I think we have a sixth sense for the truth. If I say something and it's bullshit, somebody will recognize that. And I think that when we talk about to ourselves also, I think we know when we're being true and when we're not. And I think it's just taking that time to listen. Because if somebody out there is running a business and they're struggling with things, there are things in their business that they really want to do, and there are things in their business that they really don't want to do, and they might feel stuck or lost, or that they don't have a choice, and they always have choices, but we often have hard choices. You know, like we always have choices. We always have decisions we can make. That doesn't mean that decisions are easy or that we can get there really quickly. But there's always choices that we can make. And I think that piece of advice, and I hate giving advice because like I struggled for years to live my own life, and I'm definitely not going to give advice to other people to live theirs, but just to listen to what it is that makes you tick inside, and listen with your full body, like, you know, because you'll know when something is true, you will feel it that it's true.
Totally. And I say that to entrepreneurs all the time, especially those who struggle with sales. Like, if it doesn't feel right in your body when you're having that conversation, then this is not the client for you. This isn't that you're doing something wrong or that you're no good at it or they don't have any money or anything like that. If it doesn't feel good, step away and, you know, move on to the next person. And even I think that that's a massive shift for entrepreneurs in thinking, because, you know, they're all in their heads when it comes to that kind of thing. But, you know, you can actually enroll people and have so much more success if you just listen to your body. And I guess that's about listening to your heart when you're in these conversations and remembering that it's a human being that you're talking to as well.
Yes, absolutely. And I think where we are right now, like you said something earlier on about the entrepreneur being successful, or you use the word successful, and I think that's a really good place to start, because I think when we think about what success is and when we really define what success is in our own lives, and success to me is totally different than what success will be to you, and everybody out there will have their own definition of what that success is. And for me right now, it feels really successful for me to be able to sit at my desk at home, to be able to spend an hour with my 10-year-old daughter on our mats every day of the week. That feels hugely successful to me. Is that putting an extra zero in my bank account next month? No, but it's really something that matters a lot to me right now. So, and I think everybody has that. It's a duty, really, an obligation to think about what success is in your life, and never to let that definition of success to be externally imposed from what somebody else is doing.
I know, and to make it like materialistic and about things. And I know this myself from growing my business. Like, I wasn't dreaming big enough in the beginning of my business. I wanted the car, I wanted the lifestyle, and then you get it all and you're kind of like, so what now, you know? But I think you'll love this. I was actually listening to Gary Vaynerchuk the other day, and he said, he was talking about success, and he says that we should just wipe the word success out and replace it with happiness. That if every entrepreneur, all that they strive for was happiness, that would be the ultimate success. And I think that's really what you're saying there too, Shane, isn't it?
Well, happiness is a big thing for me, because I didn't know what it was for a long time, and I've spoken about this and written about this. And yeah, like, and again, it's a big word. Like, you know, what will, for a lot of people, is like, happiness is something that they would like to postpone, to go through the hardship now to be happy down the line. And I think my belief is that being happy now, finding whatever it is that makes you happy now, will greatly increase the chances that you're going to have other things that make you happy down the line. It's not a trade-off that you need to be unhappy now to be happy later. And I think postponing happiness to some indefinite point in the future is a dangerous strategy, I think, for anybody to undertake.
Yeah, totally. And like, I actually was having this conversation with a client earlier, and it was, you know, she couldn't decide on who she wanted to work with, whether it was entrepreneurs or CEOs or project managers. And I was like, who do you want to work with? Who does it make you happy to work with? She was like, well, entrepreneurs. And I said, well, focus on entrepreneurs. She was just like, oh my God. And she just had this sense of, like, you could just see her body shift. She was just like, I can do that. And I was like, yes, there's enough entrepreneurs out there that need personal branding. You'll be fine. But yeah, and just thinking that in terms of that would make you happy. And yeah, I've learned over especially the last year, that I was doing a lot of things that just were not making me happy. And I mean a lot of things like technical things and, you know, complicated things and project management things and, you know, like year-long plans and things like that. That's not really my scene. I'm just really more like, get out there, go for it, promote it, market it, sell it. You know, that's, you know, meet the people, build the relationships. I'm not really a behind the scenes kind of person. And I've really, like, the direction I'm taking right now is all from front. I'm not doing anything really behind the scenes. This is what I'm doing, and this is me and my flow. And this is definitely starting to feel like happiness to me.
And the beauty of that is that the things that feel heavy to you and the things that feel heavy to me, and there is somebody out there that is exactly what they want to do. So finding being able to separate or compartmentalize the things in our lives or work or business, that is somebody else's happy zone, like, and getting their help to do those things is a complete win-win situation.
Yeah, totally. And that's what we want. And that's it. If you find what makes you tick, you're onto a win-win. It'll be a win for you and it'll be a win for the people that you work with. Right?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And like, it's not a case that like I'm not diminishing material stuff. I think it's like I listen to, or I pay attention to Ramit. Do you ever come across Ramit Sethi? He wrote the book I Will Teach You to Be Rich, and I love his kind of mentality around spending money. It's like, don't spend anything on the things that don't bring you absolute joy. And the things that you really, really get a lot of value out of spending, like, just max them out. Like, if you really like cars or clothes, spend more on those, but don't spend anything on all the other areas, magazine subscriptions or whatever, that's just taking money out of your account every month and you're not getting joy out of it. So yeah, it's not a case that we can't have joy in stuff. I'm a great believer that we can have joy in stuff once we decide what is bringing us joy.
Yeah, totally. So this has been great. I'm sure lots of people got lots of value. I just want to say to Gabriel and Ed who've joined us, hi guys. Let us know you're here if you want to share what makes you tick. Obviously, you can ask us any questions. But in the meantime, I want to ask Shane, what are 3 pieces of advice that you would give people when it comes to happiness, what makes you tick, all of the things that we've discussed today, so people can have some good takeaways from this?
So put me on the spot, why don't you? So I think that the key thing, one of the key things that I think that people should think about, and I think it's a good time now to think about it, is I'm a great believer in individuality rather than individualism. I think individualism is what drives a huge amount of the corporate greed, and people with their ostentatious, whatever it is, they're keeping up with the Joneses. But I think every single one of us is a completely unique individual. That's at the genetic level and the fingerprint level, but it's also all the experiences that we've had that add up to the place that we're in right now. And I think that the key thing that drives everything is to explore what that is, to explore what that individuality is. What is it that makes you tick? What is it that makes you you? What are your values? So I think that, like, in terms of the things that people can take away, that first one about asking yourself the question, what do I love? And sitting with it and allowing stuff to come. What do I love? What do I love? What do I love to do? What gives me joy? Exploring our individuality, like what are our values? I have different values than you have. Everybody has the things they value, the personality traits that they value, the things that make them feel crap. Do the things that you value. Spend more time with the things that you value, and really embrace that individuality. When you discover what it is, the thing that can be the hardest is actually getting from the place that you know what your individual self is and actually bringing that to the world. Because that creates, you're effectively creating a new identity then, or you're kind of growing from where you were, the person you were last year or 2 years ago, to the person you're going to be in a year's time, and that can be the hardest for a lot of people. But once we know in what our individuality is, what our unique self is, once we embrace that and bring that to the world, I think that's where weird stuff's going to start happening.
When weird stuff is going to start happening.
Yeah, good weird stuff.
Well, this is when all the synchronicities and all the, this is when serendipity is going to take place, right? Because it moves away from like this idea of networking and more into the idea of field working, because you're vibrating and you're attracting the things that you love.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that like if you're talking about the crypticness of the heart conversation earlier on, that the vibrations thing is doubly cryptic, but I do believe in it. I've seen it happen too often not to believe in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. David and Gabriel are loving the conversation. David is saying, bills don't bring me joy. Can I stop spending on them? Well, in the words of Louise Hay, love your bills, love paying them, and abundance will come to you.
Just one point on that, actually. So I went through about 8 months last year where I couldn't get reliable internet in my house. Okay. And it was so painful to try to, like, you know, so I couldn't do this. I would have to go somewhere else to do this conversation. And since December, I've had really good internet. And I love when I get that email, like that 40 quid or 45 quid on a monthly basis that I have to spend to keep this. It brings me great joy when I say, because I'm so grateful, actually. I'm really, like, I have gratitude is something that really was, the first time somebody said to me, practice gratitude, it felt like the most stupid thing in the world. Then, you know, it was like, yeah, like gratitude. But actually, when you invest a little bit of time in being grateful for the things that are just seem obvious and, you know, facile, I am grateful for that bill that comes in that allows me to do this. So yeah, be grateful for your bills. Love your bills, like what Louise Hay said.
Yeah, love your bills and love your internet. I know, because I'm like here in the hills of Donegal, like right looking over Errigal, and I have the best internet. I'm just like, thank you so much. But yes, gratitude is key. So we have a question from Sean O'Fagan. I guess this is for both of you, but how would you advise combating fear of failure or lack of confidence when trying to build a successful business? I'll let you answer that first, Shane, and then I'll give my take on it as well.
Okay, so I think I have two things to say. Number one is that failure is absolutely inevitable. In everything, in whatever you do, you're going to fail at something. The only way to be successful is to keep trying stuff. I'm reading a book at the moment about Chuck Feeney, who was like the Irish-American billionaire who gave it all away. And when you listen to the list of failures he had, like, you know, he opened shops and massive units in China, in Beijing, and closed them 3 years later, having lost 5 million quid. But like, so it is inevitable that things are going to fail. And I think that the only thing we can do, I think the biggest failure is not to do anything. And in terms of the fear of it, I think that fear is, when we talk about the physiological thing as well, fear keeps us alive. It's like fear in our bodies is something that's been handed down through 100,000 years of human history. There is a reason for the fear, you know, but stepping through that, knowing that we're going to fail, and actually detaching ourselves from the outcome of what we do, and just making sure we do the right thing, knowing that we're going to fail at probably a sizable percentage of what we do. Just keep doing it. Whatever feels right, just keep doing it.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, and just to add to that, Sean, I mean, you know, I'm a huge fan of failing forward. And the reason I grew my business so fast, like went from being like 10K in debt to 500,000 in sales in like less than 3 years, I failed forward. I just didn't care so much about failing. I cared more about not doing anything. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this, and I don't know if I'm going to get it right, but I'm going to do my best. And like what Shane was saying, I was doing as much of the right thing as I knew to do at that time. And I think you can't fail from that, because you're only ever learning, right? And it's like, you got to also accept, just similar to what Shane said, is probably 80% of what you're going to do is probably not going to work, but it's that 20% that works. It's most of the time, if you talk to entrepreneurs, especially successful entrepreneurs, will tell you that 80% of what they do over a year might not even work for them, but it's the 20% that does that makes all the difference. So, you know, I would be happy with that 20% and be saying, you know what, I probably will not get this right. And the other thing I want to say to you on that, Sean, is, you know, if you're a fear of failure, fear of failure at what exactly? Get specific about what that is, and like write it down. You have a fear of failing what? Sending an email, picking up the phone, asking for something. Like the only way you're going to get past that is actually being specific about it. And then you'll probably realize it's just all in your head. It doesn't actually exist.
Yes. Can I add one thing? I can't remember who said this, but it always sticks in my head. And it's one line. It's that the things we fear, we fear the things around the path rather than the path itself. That we fear, when we get specific about it, when we actually keep moving forward, it's the things that are left and right of us are the things that we're actually fearing.
Totally. It's the weeds along the way, but that's what makes us stronger. It's like, if I didn't have like 2 years of like, when I started my business first, I was like in building a tourism business, and most of the time I had no clue what the hell I was doing. I was climbing mountains and out in kayaks and whatever, but I was having fun and I was doing my best, and all of it was coming from a good place. And not to mention, like, I don't know if you watch David Icke, but David Icke said something really amazing in an interview that he said recently. And what is going to actually, like, solve the world's problems if people just realize that all we need to do is do the right thing. Do the right thing around what's coming from our hearts and like how it feels. And just what you said, those were his words. And I was like, I can't even believe that you're saying these words. But he talked a lot about his heart. But he also said that the way that the world is going to solve its problems right now, if we all do the right thing, whatever the right thing is for us individually.
Interesting.
I know. So Sean is saying thanks. It's how we learn and grow from our mistakes. Yes. So get up and go, Sean. Do whatever you need to do and let us know how you get on. So this has been awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Shane. I want to ask if you have any resources that you would like to give away to anybody who's watching or watching back watching the replay.
Well, I have the one thing that I can do is I have that 2x2 as a printable A4 sheet. So if anybody's watching this or watching the replay, just send me a message. So I can send you a single A4 page that allows you it's to plot these things that we spend our time doing on a graph, so that we can see visually which are the things that will bring us the most joy and the things that will bring the most value to the world.
Okay, great. And ultimately to help you find what makes you tick, which is what we talked about from the beginning of this conversation. And that was one of the tools that you used to really help you. That's really generous of you. So I think maybe the best way to do it would be if you put your email address into the comments, and then if anybody wants it, they can grab it. Sean is asking what's the name of that Chuck Feeney book, if you can post that for him as well.
I will, no problem.
Yeah, great. So thank you so much. And guys, if you're watching and you want to use speaking to grow your business, because this is what I specialize in these days, helping entrepreneurs build an income from speaking. If you want to find virtual speaking gigs, I've created this really, really cool guide. It's free. I've listed 10 of the ways that I'm using to find virtual speaking gigs all over the world at the moment. I've been speaking in South Africa. Next week, I'm speaking in Tokyo. Obviously, I'm speaking from home all the time. But speaking is by far one of the fastest ways to grow your business. And if you want a copy of that, I am going to post a link in the thread and you can download it for free. And it comes with loads of other resources as well to help you on your journey. So hopefully you'll find that useful. And Shane Breslin, thank you so much for being an awesome guest today.
Thanks, Maura. It's been great to be here.
Cool. Bye, everyone. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Lots of love to you all. The billionaire who wasn't, Sean says, I'm sure you can jump in and continue that conversation.
Absolutely.
Bye, everyone.